Welcome back to the Surplus Boys channel. We're here yet again with a Russian garbage stick. I am Pat.
I'm Nick.
And Kisses. Obviously a Mosin variant. This is the M44.
My favorite version of the
Yes,
Mosin.
you can tell by the nice, lovely bayonet that is on the side of this bad boy. So, pretty much, there's a little. I'm not going to give you too much information actually on this one. I'm going to give you a bit of backstory of a pinch and some other stuff. Maybe some good tism of us just kind of going off. But pretty much, it's a Mosin. So from here back here, it is 100% the Mosin, even from the Imperial times. This is mostly the same thing. It's a 9130 back here. From the rear sight all the way up here, it changes. Obviously, the stock is shorter, the forend is shorter, the sights are smaller. Obviously the gun's smaller to begin with. It has this different front sight mechanism to hold the bayonet as well. So there's a bunch of little things up here. That's pretty much most of where it comes from. The idea for this, it's kind of debated, I guess, in a way, because I see some sources say this, I see some sources say that. So pretty much this gun, you take the M38, which is the exact same thing, but without a bayonet. So
Way less cooler.
Yeah, people say, oh, it's just the M38 with a bayonet. Pretty much. The idea behind it, though, there's a couple different forms, is the idea was they don't need that long 28-inch barrel off of your 9130. That wasn't the kind of idea, concept of it. So bring it down to a more universal type gun. So they're like, well, the M38 works pretty well, so let's just put a bayonet on it so we can actually give it to frontline infantry troops as well if we needed to. So there's that thing. I've learned some things where that might not be true. I don't know.
For us Americans, think of this as their version of the M1 Carbine.
Kind of. Power-wise, no. But
how it was issued.
Yeah, how it was issued. So these actually did see service in World War II. There's going to be a lot of reenactors, if you're in reenacting, that say that you were not. They were in very special cases. So this was supposed to be a replacement in a form to the 9130. Yeah, it wasn't really a replacement. It was kind of like a small stopgap a little bit. There was a lot of things being developed. The SKS was in development. Probably learned that in the last video. If you didn't watch those two videos, you should go watch them.
Not for nothing, a little bit of history. The SKS was being developed basically at the beginning of World War II.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the whole idea of the Soviets having a self-loading rifle was, besides the SVD,
SVT.
SVT, not
Not
D.
D.
Sorry. Besides that was a concept in the beginning of the war, except the SKS was going to be chambered in 7.62 by 54R, and I kind of wish that happened.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
They kind of played around with it, but then there was like, oh, whatever.
And then they developed the 39. And
yeah, so they came up with this as a way to kind of fill in a bunch of roles at once to make it easier. Did see frontline combat, some of the newer units that were coming out in 45.
I mean, technically, the SKS saw combat in World War II, but it was those small frontline units.
Yeah, that was way smaller than the comparison to this. This actually, there was a significant number of these that did come out. They were actually developed and made in 43, if you didn't know that. So the M44 saw its first real production. I'm looking at numbers here because I can't read because I'm an idiot. I'm illiterate. The first numbers I see, or the first numbers I wrote down is they're made from Ishevsk, and that would have been in 1943. They made about 51,000 of these things in 1943. They didn't actually start seeing combat until relatively late 44 and into 45. More numbers to give you an idea. In 44, they made 1.6 million of these things, and that's just Ishevsk made that. Tula did make some. Tula really didn't make a whole lot of production of these, so a Tula one of these is actually a bit more rare to find. In total, I think they only made probably like 77,000, comparatively to the practical couple million that Shevsk made. So, but yeah, so they were made in that time, and they were used. Reenactors say don't use them, but you can if you're doing extremely late war.
Yeah.
And it depends on the unit too. So there's that. These kind of have the same nuances of every other Mosin type thing out there. There's a lot of little changes and a lot
Except
of
this one has a smooth bolt until you shoot it.
No, that's pretty common. Yeah, the first 5 shots are relatively okay. After
Yeah.
that, it's garbage for the bolt. But this is actually a high wall receiver. This isn't cut out like the low wall style, and it varied. It really depended. It went back and forth. And to give you a kind of idea of production numbers, one thing I forgot is that if you look at production numbers for the 9130 and the M44, the 9140 drops off significantly in like 44 and 45 actual production, and this ramps up real hot. So it kind of shows you that
The way they were going.
It is a partial replacement because they're stopping. They're really stopping their the 9130 production and going down into this as a production to kind of replace everything. But with that, yeah, there's little bits and pieces here. The front sight, there's 3 different types. Actually, not front sight, rear sight. 3 different types of rear sights on the base. I'm not taking this apart to show you. Really doesn't matter. It kind of flows into what's early and what's later. The discussions on this don't have any real bracing. The back is just a hole in this slot in the stock. This is braced up here in the front. It does have the more cheaper style of just like it's a piece of kind of like spring steel that's just clamped into there. And then this actually, I did learn some information. This is kind of goofy on the front sight. So the front sight base is a part of the bayonet base. And there's 2 different styles. So there's the early style and the late style. The early style is thin at the base. The late style is very wide at the base. But the funny thing is, the front sight on this gun specifically is meant for the wide base. Patrick can see it from here. You see it in the close-up.
Yeah, you can see how it's
the
like
front sight on this was changed because this probably shouldn't have been on here.
It's like
because
an eighth over.
This is a 44 dated gun, so this is technically early. 1945 is when they start putting the wide base in. And then there's 2 different styles of actual mounting for the bayonets. There's a kind of wedge style. I'll show you when it gets closer. There's a wedge style, and then there's the style that this is more of a notch. So a couple little things here and there that are tiny bits. The Chinese version did see service in Korea
and Vietnam.
So
Same thing with 9130s.
So, and a funny thing with, at least with the SKS video, there is a bit of with the M1 and the SKS shooting kind of next to each other, right after the other. Thing is that this would have fought against an M1 at one point.
Yeah, the SKS they say was used in Korea. I don't buy it.
Yeah, I think
it's a little too early.
Yeah, a little too early for that.
Because you got to think of
these definitely did.
Yeah, these definitely. You got to think of it with the SKS. The SKS is like the M14 in the U.S. service. Basically, as soon as it was adopted, it was obsolete.
Yeah, pretty much. I mentioned in the 9130 episode that these do have special codes.
I was actually going to ask you about
that. For them, so to kind of reiterate Soviet's like technical code for these. It's in 3 sections. There's the first section, which what it is. So this is under small arms, which is the number 56. It is under a letter designation, which is, it looks like a B. It's actually a V. It sounds like V. That's for Vintovka, which is rifle in Russian. And then it's its own special code, which is just numbered 1 through whatever, right after the other of development. So this is number 224 in their development. So if you remember in the 9130 episode, that was 222. So there was something in between hand. I forget what it was off the top of my head.
Was that the 38?
I think so. Yeah, I think the 38 was 223. Anyway.
I'm just going off of years.
Yeah. So yeah, this is 224.
I don't claim to know anything about
Yeah, these were
Russian
produced obviously way less
rifles
than the actual rifle was of production. Actually stopped in 1949. To let you know, there was actually a weird tidbit, or not a weird tidbit, 1948, never mind. I got that wrong. But yeah, they weren't produced as much. Obviously, Russia was like, oh, we have this SKS, we have this AK we're playing with. And we have enough rifles for now to hold it off.
The fireball this thing creates
when
you shoot it.
This is fireball. It's like a tube of fire.
It is. You might see it in some of the videos that we have with this.
Oh, yeah. I double checked that video footage. It's good. Anyway, so there's that. These are actually a total length of 40.
There's no being sneaky with this.
No, never sneaky. So the length total is 40. So if you think the 9130 was 48 and a half, so 8.5 inches are actually completely cut off of the gun. So that kind of falls into it's about 19 and a half inch long barrel.
Mark Stubby still shorter.
Yeah, Mark Stubby is always going to be the shortest. And these are about, even though, so another tidbit for the 9130, give you an idea, the 9130 was 8 pounds, 13 ounces without the bayonet.
I saw this written down there. Just
so
what you're
why don't you
about to
take
go
a guess?
through.
Like doon, ding, doon, ding,
Put it in the
ding,
comments.
ding,
We're gonna
ding,
tell you anyway. I hate it when YouTubers do that. Take a guess. Put it in the comments that I'll see after I edit the video.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is 8 pounds, 9 ounces.
Yeah, they didn't save a lot of weight there.
So they didn't save a lot of weight, but in consideration, the actual full-length Mosin bayonet, which is right here, is about 1 pound and some change. So it would have been a almost 10-pound gun for the 9130. So they did cut about 1.5 pounds just from chopping the barrel and the stock down and stuff like that. So it is lighter, but just if you took the bayonet off, this would be extremely handy. If you've ever handled the M38, they are quite handy Mosins. But the recoil is really ridiculous on those because they don't have all this weight in the front.
I mean, the recoil is not that much better on this.
No, this isn't as bad, but imagine taking this almost pound off.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's a 7-something pound gun with that full-length rifle. So it's oofy.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Like,
is a big boy.
Yeah, the Mark Stubby is a really weird breed because it's so short that you lose a lot of muzzle velocity.
Which is funny because I thought that thing was going to hurt.
Yeah, you lose a lot of muzzle velocity, so it's not as...
It's kind of like your 1895 and 30-06, where we were like, this thing's going to hurt.
It's not as bad as you think it is, but this...
Oh, you put surplus ammo through the Mark Stubby and it just hurts.
Yeah, anything surplus is terrible, but this, I think it's in that perfect Goldilocks zone where like it's getting enough muzzle velocity, but it's short enough where it's just in a really shitty spot.
Yeah, you put about 10, 15 rounds to this thing at the range and you're like, yeah,
I'm done.
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right. That's all my information for you. Let's bring you in closer so we can get closer look at
this is
some
my
of this
favorite
stuff.
Mosin.
And yeah, we'll do that and then do some conclusions later.
Yeah.
All right. All right, now that we got you back closer, we're going to take a little bit of a not really deep dive because this is the same thing as a 9130. I'm not going to go too much into most of the stuff because most of what's on this half of the gun is just like a 9130. We already did a video on that, and we're going to put it somewhere in here for you to watch. So go watch that. And then we're mostly going to be talking about the front of this thing.
Link up in the corner.
Yeah, all that fun stuff. So first things first, double check. And I know I noticed this as I'm editing. When I go to put my finger in the gun and I miss, that's not because I'm absolutely stupid. I mean, it partially is. It's because I'm looking through a camera as I do this, so I miss like an idiot. So just to let you know, okay? Anyway, that's all safe. That's good. And this also has a repair on the toe. So you can see that line goes across, goes over. And I think, I could be wrong, I'm actually not too well versed. I know people say they could be repairs or that's just how the stocks were when they were making them. Would definitely make sense for this gun. This is a 1944 dated. So this is actually very early, or not very early, but it's relatively early M44, which is kind of cool. It's just like normal Mosin. There's going to be marks up here for the serial number. This will kind of show you in the 9130 episode the escutcheon, whatever the heck it's called. I think I got that right at that time. Usually would be reinforced. On this gun, they literally just cut and drilled a hole straight to the stock and didn't even bother reinforcing it and using your dog leg style. This is, I think post-war sling on this gun, unfortunately. But then same thing, magazine, bolt are identical. I'm not going to go over how to take that apart. That's in the other episode. So a couple differences you see on these in a typical rifle is that these are only set out to 1,000 meters. It's a carbine. I don't think you're going to be shooting at 2,000. I don't think you're going to be shooting at 2,000 anyway with a normal rifle. So, and if you say you can, you're a gosh dang liar. But then at this point, we get to the really stubby stuff with the little tiny handguard on top. Obviously, things are chopped down all the way to here. And then we have our nice foldy, stabby, pokey, and whatnot. And how this is all put together, it's actually one massive piece. Not massive, but one piece. So this entire mounting piece is pressed onto the barrel, and it is part of the front sight. So this is all one unit. And then you have our folding bayonet, and I do have, here's the 9130, so nice 28-inch long barrel. So this would be socket style, so this goes over, and this slots into the front sight. This is a little tight on this gun, but press it down, turn over. Now it's locked in place, you're good to go. You can poke as many things as you please. And in order to get it off, you press this button, twist it. Yet again, this one's tight. It comes right off. So that's how that works. But since this is integral, you don't need that. And I will say that these are going to be a little bit shorter. So you can kind of tell that, yeah, obviously the one for the rifles are way longer. The ones for the carbines are not. I don't know the exact length, but for this guy, all you got to do is this locks in place with this ear. You got to pull this down. This is a sleeve that has a spring in it. So pull that down, pull it out. When you get to this point, you got to pull that up. It's a little difficult, and it caps over the actual muzzle of the rifle, and there you go. Now you can poke things. And recoil difference when this is extended versus when this is back in its resting place. It's just a bit of a difference. And it's kind of weird. Bayonets definitely help with recoil and with muzzle flash. Just so you know. But then other than that, there is a little notch here in the stock right there that does help. All right, not right there, right here. You can see that. So this entire notch is here to help alleviate for the bayonet. And this can be a pain. You can pinch your fingers very easily on this. So that folds right in there. So your normal Mosins will not have this slot in here. And that's pretty much the only real differences. So that is that. That is our cute little baby. Sometimes, yeah, you gotta lock that in place. That's it. And this has your standard, easier stamped spring style barrel bands. And yeah, so that's about it. I'm not going over anything else. Screw you guys. Anyway, it's the same thing as a normal Mosin.
What was I gonna do top down? That would have been stupid.
I will say,
proper.
in the Veterans Day video, shameless plug, go watch that video. When you loaded that and the clip just went out, that was orgasmic.
Yeah, sometimes you get the bounce. It's
that was
a little bit Mosin bounce. A boop. You're like, oh, yeah.
That was orgasmic.
So.
It's actually snowing.
Holy shit!
This is surplus ammo, so that's why.
What the f?
That's why there's a fireball.
God damn! Feel that on my eyeballs.
I got the muzzle velocity is literally just a form of losing, or no, the muzzle flash is losing just velocity. That's all it is.
Yeah, it is.
Like that type of muzzle flash is just.
Well, I brought some surplus ammo for the stubby.
Yeah.
So it's surplus Iraqi ammo, so I don't know if it's gonna work. Apparently, it's not corrosive.
So, all right, now we're gonna try. You're gonna see where the fireball goes away when you put this in front of it. And then also the recoil is gonna be way better. So.
I don't think it does.
It just heats it up for when you stab someone. It just cauterizes the wound right away.
Exactly.
Wow, dude, it's like when you know how to load this right, it actually works.
Unlike somebody whose name should not be mentioned.
What bloke on the range?
No. Somebody we both know that we're not going to mention.
Oh, well, I know what for bloke on the range is Mad Minute.
Who screwed up your Mosin?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And bloke on the range, Mads.
Looking at you, Finn.
And
Anyway.
bloke on the range, Mads.
Oh, they're still good fast.
It's not as long. It's stubbier.
Recoil is way easier.
You know, it's out for you.
Really good. I don't know if the camera's picking it up.
I think it is.
One of those guns you can't shoot for too long.
Because it just hurts.
It's just, it beats you up. Okay, I'm done. It also gets really hot really fast, and it's kind of cold out here and it's snowing, so it does kind of help.
Makes you
Bye-bye.
warming up the fingers.
All right, I want to shoot the fireball thing. Look at the sight picture on that.
Sight picture's terrible, okay? But these are better than Mauser sights, at least typical Mauser sights, because
I'd have to agree.
typical Mauser sights, actually, fun little tidbit I didn't mention before. And also, yeah, welcome back over there. We were talking before we did this bit. The original sights on a lot of different rifles, especially the carbines, were V-notches.
Is that just a U-notch?
It's a U-notch.
Yeah.
So yeah, they went over to U-notches, but there's Mosins with V-notches. Most of them you see have a U-notch. So if you have a V-notch, good for you.
If there's any rifles that have a sight like this, I'm just going to say it now.
Terrible.
Probably the best two, in my opinion, are the SMLE, because they're elevation and windage adjustable,
True.
and the 03 Springfield sights.
Yeah.
The only problem with the 03 Springfield sights is they're super fine, and you can lose them real easy.
Yeah. I was going to say also with the Krag, because the Krag uses the same sights the 1903 uses.
Is that the Buffington sight?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Buffington
what I thought. Yeah.
Or I forget the other one, but
Yeah, I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
they're way too fine for the distance from where your eye is.
Yeah, they're super accurate sights. Don't get me wrong.
Judging by our appearances, we can't see shit.
Yeah.
So.
But also, like, just talking about sights for a second here. Sights like this, if they're windage and elevation adjustable, in my opinion, are always going to be better.
Yeah.
Having elevation is great. I hate having to change the windage with the front sight because you need tools to do that.
Yeah.
You need something. You need a punch, or if you're in Russia, you're using a rock. You know, that's like. This isn't actually a side tangent. This is actually like a true moment.
This is true good information.
Actually, for a second here, I know there's people who are going to say these sights are great. Yeah, they're fine for what they are. They're good combat sights. Also, what makes sights ahead of the bolt superior, in my opinion, are not this style. It is the style that lift up and have a ladder.
Yeah,
that is far superior, in my personal opinion.
Ladder style. One day we'll get the Kropatschek out, and you will see the ultimate ladder sight you've ever seen.
Oh, that is true. Actually, if you watch our channel 1 year update video, that rifle is sitting there.
Yeah, it is in there.
And the sight is all the way up.
Yeah, it's all the way extended. So,
but yeah, no, I mean, sights like this to begin with are terrible. Absolutely terrible. Mauser sights, they work. They're good. They're accurate. It's kind of the same thing with a Springfield. They're too fine for how far away you are. But they're Mausers, and that's Germany for you, you know. There's a reason the Marines kept the 03 Springfield over going to the 03A3. They were more accurate. The Marines pride themselves on being more accurate, so there's a reason they kept those. 03A3 sights, they're great, you know, because that's basically it's peep sight.
And
it's
to give you a bit of an idea of doctrine and culture, really.
You're supposed to use them like that.
Yes. The doctrine and culture. This is a conclusion, by the way. So doctrine and culture.
Immediately going into it with a rant.
Yeah. American culture is very fixated on accuracy.
Yes.
And it makes sense because a lot of heritage of us, especially during frontier times, is you're out in the frontier, you need to make your shot count no matter what.
It doesn't matter if you have a single shot or a lever action or anything.
Whatever it was back then, even in muzzleloading times, you needed to make your shot count. And with the military, with their rifles, and then the 1873, they're out in the frontier, fighting Native Americans and stuff like that, and keeping the peace or whatever you want to call it.
We're not here to discuss that.
Yeah, and I'm here to discuss that. But especially out in the frontier, getting things out that such long distances, you had what you carried. there wasn't really resupply very often.
So having a rifle that could reach out and touch somebody at 500-600 yards.
You needed to be very accurate. That was the idea, is to be you needed something simple, reliable, and accurate. So that is where our doctrine and our culture comes from.
We also very heavily, especially on sporting rifles, relied on express style sights.
Yeah.
Which I'm not personally a fan of.
I mean, people's eyes were better back then, I think, than they are.
Yeah. The one thing I do wish they carried over to the 03 Springfield on the Buffington site was the Crag has a...
That little thing that flips?
Yeah, that flips up, and it actually gives you a
tiny peep sight.
A tiny peep
which is
sight.
nearly impossible to see.
It sucks. It absolutely sucks, but it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. Anyway, but to give you back to that doctrine, in Soviet Russia, gun shoots you, literally. No,
you have so many people firing at once. Think of like linear
yeah.
tactics from the Civil War.
Yeah, the idea is there's so many people, you don't need to be as accurate.
You're still going to hit somebody.
Yeah, you're still going to be able to hit somebody. You're not going for accuracy. It's more, they're always more bulk than quality. So that's why they're going to use a sight that is simpler to make.
Yep.
And that isn't really that great.
And honestly, is the simplest
Makes
version
sense.
of that sight also being the best version in our opinions. Everybody has their opinions.
Yeah.
I know people who love Mauser sights. I think the roller coaster sights on the Gewehr 98 are actually cool, and I think they're good.
super cool.
I think they're good. I think they're better than these.
Yeah, it all depends on obviously opinion.
It also depends on how you're shooting, because like look at the U.S. and Vietnam. We went to the M16, and that whole accuracy kind of dropped a little bit, so to say, per se, because we went to a different cartridge, and we also went to a point where now we have rifles that shoot fully automatic, and now we have rifles that are semi and fully automatic, and not, say, a BAR, which is a squad support weapon. Now we have the individual soldier has the option of full auto. So, I mean, the accuracy of the U.S. infantrymen went completely downhill in Vietnam to begin with, turned into a lot of spray and pray, but,
Off of that tangent, this is the conclusion. Should you buy this? Yes, you should.
Yes.
Out of actually mostly all Mosin variants, the carbines are the ones to get.
And they are going to be pricier.
They are going to be a bit more. They can vary, though. Really depends on which ones you get. You're going to find re-arsenaled ones. You're going to find whatever. Who cares? You're going to find a bunch of different variances and all the little tiny tidbits and little things, which is kind of cool because it kind of lets you know what happened to the gun, if things are changed during certain times when you do your research.
This is what we say, if guns could talk.
Yeah, but for the M44, it is highly recommended to get because, multiple reasons, it is a showstopper. When it comes to going to any shooting range
you
anywhere,
pull this out?
You pull this out, most people are like, what the hell is that thing? If they know what it is, they're like, okay, cool, they got that.
Most people know what a full-length Nagant is.
Yeah, if their attention is not piqued by you whipping it out, okay, it's going to be piqued when you fire it.
And the fireball is the length of this table.
Yes, the fireball is absolutely ridiculous. When you do
and the concussion.
Yeah, proper surplus rounds, it is terrifying. And it's just amazing. The bayonet, listen, they're so impractical nowadays. Especially since this is totally against the Geneva Convention.
Well, the Geneva Convention doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, well, okay. Or whatever thing that's
it's a
about...
cruciform bayonet.
Anything that's against cruciform bayonets is still cruciform bayonet.
Yeah.
But still cool. Always going to be cool. I don't care what you say. And you have it always there.
Yeah, you always there. You don't have to carry it separate. Most rifles, when you put a bayonet on the rifle, affects the point of impact.
Yes,
Even
always.
M1,
it's always
03, it's always going to affect the point of impact. It's probably not going to be the 6 inches that it affects a Nagant, but it's always going to affect point of impact.
That was a little one.
There's more.
Little jalapeno
Before we call this video to the end, why don't you tell the audience the personal history of this rifle?
Yeah, that was my next bit. So, personal history with this gun. Another reason why you should buy one. And if you're somebody that, for some reason, just kind of follows what people say, so if for some reason you're one of the subscribers here that is a weirdo, and it's just like, I'm going to listen to whatever they say, stop doing that. Because
we're not a voice of reason here.
Yeah, we're not voices of reason here. But if you are, then here's another reason to buy it. This was technically my first gun. I wasn't old enough to own it, obviously. This was a Christmas gift to me when I was 13 from my dad. Obviously, it was his gun at the time because he had to get the paperwork for it. But when I turned 18, it was given to me. So there's a long history with this rifle with me personally, and I did not have it for a little bit. I actually gave it to my dad because for something else I had to pay for something or whatever, and then he had it for a while, and I was able to weasel it my way back to get it and doing a couple of things for him. So now I'm reunited with my Mosin, my original Mosin. And you think, why would you give a 13-year-old the most fireball concussive gun?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Okay, let me tell you, this isn't my first high-powered rifle I've ever shot. First one I ever shot was a jungle carbine that was chambered in .308 when I was like a 9 or 10.
Which, first off, already neutered.
Yeah,
But
yeah, already neutered, but still, that's a lot for
308 out of a bolt gun hurts.
Yeah, for a small child, and I was a small child. I was like maybe like, I don't know, weight-wise, I was way lower than everybody else was. So this is a near and dear area in my heart for this thing, because this is my first boom boom stick, and I ain't getting rid of it. Even though every time I shoot it, it sucks.
Yeah.
All right, that's where we're going to leave this episode. I don't want to make it too long, probably super long. Like, comment, subscribe.
Ring the bell.
Yes.
And-
Discord.
Yep.
Yep.
That's between both of us now.
Yeah, we got to remember that one.
I'm always ring the bell. Discords remember all of us. And soon, I'll put it in this video instead of the other video. Soon, there will be also an Instagram. All
We
right.
bid you adieu. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.